ISCA Super Cup Series. Of course, last week we saw a thrilling battle at the LA Coliseum. Here we are now at Daytona, which is going to be a pretty good, I'd say, tease, if you will, for the actual Daytona race next week that we'll see here in the ISCA. That'll be, I do believe, 120-something laps. It'll be a long one, 300-something miles. This one's going to be a little bit shorter, but I think this is going to be just as exciting because this race here tonight will determine the running order at the Daytona race next week. Of course, my name is Brian Britt. I have Big Al in the booth beside me. Of course, Kobe Jordan going to be down behind the cameras. Big Al, field NASCAR is back in the air.
Definitely glad that you said that. Getting the feeling back that it's time to go back racing, and I'm super excited to be here. A lot of changes coming up for this this upcoming season to include our setup as well.
Yeah, of course, definitely a lot of changes. I mean, we got a new guy, Kobe Jordan, some new blood down behind the cameras. Love to see that. Looks like they have wrapped up practice. Qualifying, of course, going to be starting out here. Now, a little bit about the format about tonight's race. We're going to have a 5-minute qualifying, which everybody, I do believe, is getting started with that now. I think Chris Johnson's making his way onto the racing surface. But after this 5 minutes is up, we're going to take a quick break. Then we're going to get all set and ready to go for, I do believe, the first duel, which, if I'm not mistaken, is 38 laps. You see Chris Johnson coming off of the apron right now. Qualifying, I don't know, Big Al. How big do you think qualifying is at a track like this? I mean, track position, what do you think? What's the value?
I think it's more about pit position when you think about qualifying. That's what's going to be the key thing. A race like the Daytona 500 is such a long race that your qualifying directly correlates to where your team is positioned down pit road. And Brian, it might not seem like a big idea, like a big deal at the beginning of the race, but I guarantee you it will be a factor as we go down the stretch.
Yeah, I could definitely see that being a possibility. Now, one thing I think that really could be a big factor here in tonight's race, I was talking a little bit to Kenny Powell, and some of these drivers out here might not realize this, but fuel is going to be really, really tight in these duels. 38 laps is the length of the duel, and I think the fuel window is right around that same distance. So if you're leading the race for an extended amount of time, you might not make it to the end. Now, some of these drivers out here, Big Al, might not know that.
Well, that's one thing they're going to find out through discovery, and that's the reason why we run these races, because you'll be able to get out there and you'll be able to not only figure out how, because now you got to make tough choices, Brian. Before, you got options, but now when you tear that car up, that's the car that you get to go forward with. So you really got to think about that. You can't push the envelope. It's not like you can hit that reset button like you can in practice. So drivers are going to be very cognizant of that as well. And that means, the team aspect as well as where you're sitting in traffic.
Well, already we got some times that are coming in all the way. Well, Chris James has, in the 2 machine, has shot up to the top of the board with a 49.417. So far he is at the top of the board. Chris James, new driver in the ISCA. I'm actually very familiar with Chris James. Used to work with him. He used to, I do believe, be on a team that was sponsored by Team Watson Racing Setups. Of course, everyone knows I'm involved with that group. Chris, of course, I do believe has taken quite a big hiatus away from iRacing. It looks like he's back and ready to race here in the ISCA. Chris has always been a talented driver. Can't wait to see what he's able to do. Right now, looks like the running order is changing quite a bit, though. We're seeing a lot of time starting to come in. Chris Johnson back to the top of the board. Like
I'm going to tell you what, and it is going to. I'm sorry about that, Bob, but it is going to continue to change because that's what happens is these guys are putting down their hot laps. The fastest lap is the one that we're looking for. So why don't you guide us through? What are you looking for when you're running that qualifying lap at a track like Daytona?
Okay, well, the key here at a track like this, of course, you want to run as close to the wall as you possibly can on your out lap and on your first time lap. Of course, the last lap, the actual lap that you're going to be trying to get the money lap, the fastest speed you possibly can get, is going to be running on the bottom. So, like I said, top groove is going to be where you want to run, as close to that wall as you possibly can on the out lap. And then on the first time lap, you'll also be running that top groove. And then the last lap, the moneymaker lap, you run the bottom. You run all the way to that yellow line. You put that tire all the way on that line, and you hope that you do not wiggle that wheel too much. That's going to be important. Jeffrey Ford out there trying to qualify right now. As you can see, he's trying to make his way out of, I do believe, the corner turn 4. Looks like he's actually finished up qualifying. At the moment, Brian Johnson at the top of the board. We're looking at the 78 of Andrew Griesbaum out there. He was one, I do believe, that was with us a couple seasons ago, Big Al. Glad to see him back out on the track.
Absolutely, Brian. Glad to see a lot of those familiar names back, just like Jeffrey Ford. You know, these are some guys that we hadn't talked about at all, but Andrew Griesbaum, exactly. Glad to see him back, putting down qualifying laps. Looks like he is on his 3rd lap right now.
Yeah, I think he might be just finishing up, of course, qualifying. Now rounding up here for tonight's race, it looks like, I think that is going to be pretty much the deciding. I think everybody has gotten their times in. So as you kind of mentioned earlier, I do believe for the most part, odd numbers, I think, and even numbers are going to be the important thing. That's going to determine whether you're in duel number 1 or duel number 2. We're going to see exactly who is in duel number 1 when we return. We're going to take about a 5-minute break. We'll be back. Thanks for watching. We'll see you. And, of course, we're going to have the national anthem when we do return.
Hey everybody, my name is Warren Maddox. I am the president of Ultimate Experience Outdoors. Our mission, we are dedicated to taking veterans, first responders, youth, and Gold Star family members on outdoor excursions across the country.
Support for our mission has many forms, from camp cooks to the great storytellers, some buddies with the band, maybe you just want to build a campfire and sit around and listen. Nothing goes unnoticed.
Camaraderie is reborn. The acceptance among the men and women that took an oath.
Whether it was decades ago or recently renewed, but never forgotten.
If you feel like you could help us, please visit our website, www.uxonation.org.
There, you can register to hunt, sign up to sponsor an event, or even donate to us so we can continue to execute our mission.
Oh my gosh, I'm so comfortable, bro. We get a hug, man. What have you done, Jim?
We need your help to hold the line once again.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the pale The bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
The nighttime is the right time. Remember what I told all my drivers? Reach up there and pull those belts tight.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the ISCA Super Cup Series. Of course, looks like we're rolling here, getting ready to start duel number 1. We're going to quickly go down through the starting grid. Brian Johnson going to be starting on the pole here. Chris Johnson, brothers, going to be starting 1-2. Jeffrey Ford in 3rd. Josh Schaffner 4th. Kenneth Bartholomew in 5th place. John Binder 6th. Kenny Powell in 7th. Paul Olson in 8th. Frank Flores in 9th. Darren Mullins in 10th. Mark Sanchez 11th. Andrew Griesbaum 12th. And Alexander Carr is going to be starting in 13th. That's a look top to bottom at this 13-car field in duel number 1. Big Al, we getting ready to go racing. I'm excited.
Man, you're excited. I'm excited. Lights off on a pace car. He's going to be getting out of the way here, Brian. And as soon as he does, we'll waste no time getting this race underway. Green flag's out.
That's right. Green flag is out, and already he's got some pretty interesting moves here. You see Chris Johnson and Brian Johnson really working well together. Josh Schaffner as well. Paradigm lined up 1, 2, 3.
Caution's out on the racetrack. Looks like the 24 car Kenny Powell. Not sure what's going on. We'll have to figure this one out pretty quick.
Yeah, it does look like it is the 24 of Kenny Powell that has had an issue here on the racetrack.
Just gonna try to find out what has happened as he'll make his way around the pace car. Not yet one lap into this thing before old Barney gets to wave that yellow flag one more time. He won't be getting to spend any time down there with his girlfriend getting hot dogs this year, Brian.
That's right. And I do believe we're trying to see if we could possibly find out what happened. I think it had something to do with Kenny Powell. I'm not sure. We're looking at Brian Johnson right now, I do believe, in the 4. So not sure exactly what's going on here. Looks like we're having some technical difficulties finding the actual event.
It's a 24 car Kenny Powell, I thought was one,
but Kenny Powell, of course, right now is pacing behind the pace car, trying to, I think he just got himself a wave around possibly here, so not sure. I guess we're not going to be able to have a visual on what exactly happened here with Kenny Powell. And it looks like Kenny Powell, okay, I think I understand exactly why this is not coming up on our
looks like Kenny himself threw the caution flag. Yeah, exactly. So this would have been an administrative caution is what I'm going to assume is what has happened here. Now he has been waved around, and then we will go ahead and get this race started. So not sure if these laps are going to count against us. They're going to be under caution. I think we'll be okay here. We're going to line this thing up again, Brian, and it looks like we're going to take one more swipe at it.
And I think I see exactly what happened here. Now, Kenny, I got to call him out. This is cheating. Kenny missed the start. He missed the start, started from the pits, and then threw the caution when the green flag came out. That's cheating. And then he waved himself around the pace car. That is cheating. I'm fired today. I'm getting fired today.
It was an admin move, because obviously there was probably some confusion with the drivers as far as which split they needed to be in, because you can make these things as foolproof as you want to, but guys are still going to have issues. And then with different drivers' load times, there were probably some drivers that didn't make it. So, kind of glad that he did throw the caution here. That way,
I gotta be honest, I'm not. You know why I'm not? You know why I'm not? I get all what you're saying. There could have been some type of problem.
Tell us.
Why I'm not happy with that is the fact that the fuel window is almost exactly 38 laps. If you're leading this race, you might not make it to the end. Because of that caution, I think everybody's going to be good on gas. Now, I wanted to see that drama play out, Big Al.
Well, it's still going to play out because if you think we're going to make it, if you think we're going to make it through this event here, 38 laps without a caution, I mean, yeah, I like that. That's and plus that start I mean, there was just a lot of malingering going on, and me being a military guy, especially representing Fall In, that's one thing we can't tolerate. We cannot tolerate any malingering.
Oh, I get what you're saying, for sure. But, I mean, you know me, I'm a strategy type guy, and I've always enjoyed the numbers and things like that, and to see what the different teams would do in order to try to make it on the gas, that limited resource. Now it's not going to be as limited. I don't think that they're going to have any issues, but, hey, it's time to get back racing. Pace car getting ready to dip down pit road as we see we're coming out of turn number 4. Brian Johnson getting lined up here, and it looks like the bottom line, Josh Schaffner, not getting all the way up to the back of the 4 car.
A lot tighter than we were the last time.
That's right. Here we go into the Geico restart zone. Green flag is back out in the air once again here in the ISCA Super Cup Series, and already playing some games once again as the Paradigm drivers get lined up. Jeffrey Ford leads that top line. We're getting ready to see maybe 3 wide. Some guys starting to peek around, maybe make some moves here. And Bartholomew rockets his way through the field.
That was a lot better last time here. Watching that 4 car taking dragging those guys all the way around the outside. Going to be 2x2 here, Brian, as we go. Top line trying to get established, see if those guys can get a run.
Yeah, you can see that definitely Jeffrey Ford is trying his best to see if he can get that top line established. One thing about these next gens, that they are very difficult to get momentum going at Daytona. I mean, you know, these cars are phenomenal at 1.5-mile tracks. They're great at short tracks, but it seems like at super speedways they're a little bit tougher. But look at this. Jeffrey Ford says, watch me. I'm going to get it going as he starts to get that top side move.
Mark Sanchez tucked right behind him, and he's going to definitely have to be his partner if they're going to have any chance to make that work. Now, remember, this looks like there's 5 cars on that top as Kenny Powell joins the fray. Now, with that number, we're going to be able to see if those guys are actually going to be able to make that high line work, Brian. And the one thing that we always struggle to do is want to see with the new models and how it works. Is it going to be a 2x2? Is it going to be a side-by-side? Or is it going to be a 3x3 car breakaway? So, hadn't anything been able to shake itself out just yet, but we're still waiting to see how this track's going to work out this year.
I think you bring up a really, really great point. I think that the new models, this is unknown to a lot of us here on the sim. I mean, we're seeing, of course, a new Ford and a new Toyota. Very different models here. What do they do in the draft? Are they better at pushing? We're going to find out, I think, here tonight, and we're already on lap 6, coming to lap 7. Brian Johnson so far has led every lap. It looks like the Paradigm guys are well in control. But you can clearly see there are some bits of speed up there on that top line. Daytona always known to be a top groove type racetrack. So I'm wondering if we get some speed generated. Is Jeffrey Ford the man to do it? One thing I also want to mention as well is the setup. This is an open setup race. None of the setup shops, from what I know, have built a Daytona setup yet. So we really had to dig deep. Just like last week at LA Coliseum. They didn't have cars, so what did they do? What are these guys here doing now? Are they using old setups? Did they work on something? Did they build something?
Well, you can believe that a lot of these guys went to the drawing board, Brian, and they actually built something. That's what we're going to see if being a part of a bigger team works out in your favor or not. Some of the smaller teams didn't have the ability to put down as many laps. So we're watching a lot of things that are going to all play out here tonight as we try to get this situated.
Kenneth Bartholomew. That 73's been really, really fast so far here tonight in the Gerber machine. He's on the top side. He jumps up in front. of Jeffrey Ford. Will Ford push him along? It looks like top line starting to really get some momentum. They're having some problems, though, staying in line. I'm seeing that Mark Sanchez having a little bit of an issue staying with the bumper of Jeffrey Ford. And look at that. Ford starts to fall back as well. He doesn't seem like he's comfortable pushing the 73. He jumps out of line and goes down to the bottom. And here we go. Paul Olson jumps up. He's going to work with G&G teammate Kenny Powell. Still in the lead. Paul Olson trying to make something happen up on that higher groove. Of course, he is a very fast super speedway driver. You see the 73, of course, of Bartholomew trying to get lined up with the G&G group. He jumps down to the bottom, and now we're seeing almost, I think, the entire race become single file here on lap 9. Johnson still in the lead. Let's do a quick rundown through the top 10. Brian Johnson in the lead. Chris Johnson in second place. Josh Schaffner's in third. John Binder, haven't talked a whole lot about him. He sits in fourth. Frank Flores, he's in fifth. Triple F, sixth place Alexander Carr. Seventh, Jeffrey Ford. Eighth, Andrew Griesbaum. Ninth, Darren Mullins. That's Kenneth Bartholomew. Looks like everybody has gotten single file as everybody's trying to get comfortable here as we have still a bit to go here in duel number 1. Of course, if you're just joining us, we still have duel number 2 on the docket, which will be at Daytona. And of course, the results of this race do determine the running order in next week's race here on the ISCA. I do believe, did I lose my broadcasting partner? Big Al, where you at?
Technical difficulties here with my screen. Trying to figure that out.
Okay, well, hopefully you get that worked out. Of course, we've got a long race to go, and I don't want to be by myself up here in the booth. But it looks like we are seeing some big pushes coming from Chris Johnson. He's really doing a great job beating on the back bumper of the Ford machine. Of course, you can see Chris Johnson in that Ford. Always been a Ford driver. Banged up John pushing his brother. These guys have always been good at working together. We'll see how long that lasts, though. A lot of times when it comes to racing here in the ISCA, you see a lot of guys work up until. Will these guys be the best teammates, or will they maybe try to battle each other at the end here? One thing I'd like to mention as well is Brandon Johnson. He is a Paradigm driver. He is not in this duel. And I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, Randy Mullins recently did join the Paradigm group. If he is in that next duel, Brandon Kozlowski and him are going to be pretty much working together. I think that's the only other Paradigm drivers. Now, that's one thing about these duels that can kind of be a little bit chance. You know, you really have to kind of rely on chance whether you're going to have teammates or not. As you can see, everybody pretty much still single. Just coming up to 25 laps to go in duel number 1. Make it on fuel to the end of this race. It's still going to be, I think, quite close. And that might be why a lot of these guys are going single file. Will we see some guys make some moves? Here comes Jeffrey Ford. He dips out of line, and he's going to try to make something happen. Now, one thing about it when it comes to racing like this, especially in these next days, when you dip out of line, you might lose all those spots because it's going to be like hitting a brick wall of air. Step down from 6th place. He falls all the way back to 10th. That just shows you how costly it can be. Of course, Brian Johnson still leads us down the back stretch. He's followed by teammate Chris Johnson. Josh Schaffner sits in 3rd place. As you can see, John Binder, he's been steadily in that 4th place position. We are starting to see it run generating from the top line. Jeffrey Ford has moved back up there, along with, I do believe, some other drivers. Paul Olson and Kenny Powell and Mark Sanchez moving together. Of course, whoa, some problems. Andrew Griesbaum gets into Jeffrey Ford. We got some problems. Caution flag is out on the racetrack. And Jeffrey Ford, I think, takes the majority of the damage in this situation. The 82, I do believe, and the 78, Andrew Griesbaum get together. And we're going to take a look and see exactly what happened here. You see Griesbaum. And I do believe this might be a little bit earlier in the event. I don't think this is exactly when this accident ended. I do believe we're going to have to try to find the actual accident, because this is not yet.
But just like I said, Brian, it was going to occur, and then just like that, it did.
That is correct, and I think it's right here. I think we're right on the money here. You see right there, Griesbaum comes off of the bottom of the racetrack, gets into the 82, and unfortunately, Paul Olson just nowhere to go right here. So glad we're able to find that accident. You can clearly see just a lot of damage on that 82 of Jeffrey Ford. And just an unfortunate incident there for sure. I'm curious what the call is going to be. Do we come down pit road? Do we grab some gas? I think tires might be something to grab as well. But then again, I mean, I don't know. I mean, track position is so important. It's like we do have the... we see Paul Olson as a lap down. Jeffrey Ford, I think, is down pit road trying to get some of the damage repaired.
Yeah, so pace car makes its way through. Looks like I think I've got most of my woes kind of figured out. But I think, you know, track position it's going to be the primary thing. That's what you want. But you can kind of dictate that, just how you drive. So on this one, Brian, I'm going to say, you know, if you need to come down, come down. You know, you're just going to have to look for a reason.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't think any of these guys probably see any reason. I don't know, though. Look at that. Here comes Griesbaum. Now, Griesbaum could have some damage, so maybe that's why he's coming
absolutely.
down.
If you were sideways, skidding, or sketchy, I think I'd come down. But otherwise, if you're up front and you're running good, you have every reason in the world to stay out. We've got Brandon Pasalacqua joining us in the booth. Brandon, how's it going?
Good. How you guys doing up here?
All right. Definitely interesting to have a surprise guest.
I figured I'd give you guys a little shout out here while I'm waiting for the next race.
All right. Well, did you have anything you wanted to say? Seems like your teammates are doing pretty good out there.
Yeah, they're doing pretty well. Just interested not to see the high groove get going quite yet, but I do think everybody was just buying their time. We still have 22 laps, and everybody was close on fuel. But with that caution at the beginning, it made it a little bit easier. So hopefully we get racing here within the next 10 laps or so, and give everybody a good show.
Yeah, for sure. Now,
so Brandon.
Yeah.
In reference to that fuel call, there, do you think that's going to be a little bit of an advantage for the guys that are in Heat 1 here versus you guys?
Yeah, for sure. So, according to my teammates, they were a little bit short at the beginning, maybe by a half a lap or so. So with that caution at the very beginning to get us back in order, made it easier. Then this caution obviously helps out a lot too. So in the second duel, we're going to have to figure that part out. I mean, if you're anybody but the leader, you should be able to save enough fuel not to have to pit. So it'll just be interesting to see if that leader has any issues if we don't have any cautions.
Yeah, definitely. You're looking forward to see how that kind of plays out for sure. I think it's going to be a little bit of a different paradigm, if you will.
Well, I'm glad that the five of us weren't all in one heat, so it worked out pretty good with us being evenly split. So Randy joined our team during the off season, so he's been a great addition to the team. Completed the 24 hours of Daytona with us, so I'm looking forward to working with him in the second duel.
Yeah, definitely. So is it just you two then? Because I know that Brian, Chris, and Josh are all in this one, so it's just is it 2 versus 3 in this one?
Yeah, that's correct. So our goal, unfortunately, Josh is going to miss the 300 next week. He's actually going to the real-life Daytona 500, which is awesome. So the goal here is just to make sure Chris finishes either first or second. He could even finish third with Josh in front of him effectively, since Josh won't be here next week. So that's our goal in this heat. And then the second heat, we'll try to get Randy a win or finish second behind me. Either one of those two scenarios would be great.
Yeah, 100%. Well, it looks like we're getting ready to get this thing back rolling again. It looks like pace car lights have gone out. Brian Johnson has led every lap thus far. Of course, Chris Johnson has been in second place. Josh Schaffner has been doing a great job in third. So it's been a really solid race so far. I'm definitely curious to see how you do, Brandon. Of course, if you want to stick with us and call it till the end, you're welcome to. I mean, we definitely would appreciate you. Before they're gone. All right, bye.
Yeah, you're talking to me.
He didn't even
now.
shout out anybody. He didn't even get any shout outs.
He did.
Did he?
He did. He gave us a shout out just by coming in.
Yeah, that's right. He did. But pace car lights are out. We're filing down the backstretch. As you can see, we have the track facts and weather here. Of course, it's the 2.46 or 48, I should say. I always thought this was a 2.5 mile, but I guess a little bit more of an exact figure.
We round up.
That's right. Looking at the track temp, pretty cool night tonight here in Daytona. 71 degrees. We got some wind. Not too bad, though. It looks like the wind's actually fluctuating quite a bit. As soon as I said that, it's going up to like 6 miles an hour. But definitely excited to see what we got here at Daytona. If the conditions change quite a bit in the next duel as well.
Lights off on the pace car. He's going to be getting out of the way, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back to green flag racing. Just about halfway through this event right here. I think we'll be halfway through the next lap. Brian Johnson going to lead us through the Geico restart zone.
Yeah, green flag is back out. And once again, the Paradigm guys, the team orders aspect here, very organized, very strategic. As you can see, Brian Johnson able to kind of slide right down. We do have some battling going on, though, for that top five. You can see that I do believe John Biner is big pushing from Kenny Powell.
And I'm loving that.
As well.
Yes, we started to see that 23 car, John Biner. He kind of was a fixture that came in at the end of last season. But, you know, the 23 for Carolina, the sun drop for Carolina. I'm kind of buying in this Biner guy. You know what I mean? I'm buying into that program. Liking it a lot. Kenny Powell tucked in behind him. Lead lap, though. I do believe Brandon Postolaco called it right. Everybody's lined up one behind another as we're halfway through this thing. But nobody wanting to go out there and make that high line. Everybody just wanting to kind of stay in traffic and just enjoy that slow, easy ride home from work today.
I don't know if it's going to be slow and easy towards the end. Update, Jeff. Ford has gone a lap down, as well as Paul Olson's outside of the race car now. He's 5 laps down, so unfortunately it looks like the damage on that race car was severe enough to take him out of the show. As we see John Binder, your favorite driver, moving up to the top. See if he can make something happen here. A little bit loose, though, on the exit of turn 4 as he goes back down to the bottom, as Brian Johnson still in control. He's been in control all race long, 20 laps thus far.
And the funny thing is, I think those guys just kind of gave up on the concept of trying to even be competitive here tonight, because if you can't race up front to win.
Here we go. As soon as you said that, they gave up to be competitive. Kenny Powell. I don't know if that's the truth.
That's that top line. Yeah, that top line is definitely doing what we've known it could do all night. We've just been waiting on that moment for somebody to get out there and make it work. Kenny Powell trying to do just that. Got Mr. Mullins behind him. Not enough momentum to keep him out front. But I guarantee you, that front line, that high line, Brian, is definitely showing that it can be dominant here.
Oh, yeah, that's for sure. I mean, they came out of nowhere. It just seemed like the 64 and the 24 were great together. But one thing about it don't matter what NASCAR car you're in, next gen, the Xfinity or the truck, you're going to have heating issues too hard. And I think that might have been what kind of took the momentum. One thing about that top side, it is a longer distance around the track, so you kind of heat the engine up more on that higher group.
Well, you got to guys have to buy into it, and they got to get up there and want to make it work. Now, right now, if you got guys that are laying back, and they're not tucked in, you're not going to be able to get around as fast as you need to in order to be able to make a charge. Now, Kenny not wanting to really push the issue, you can tell they're not really going low there. Now, not trying to side draft, they're just really trying to work the draft off of each other. But I think that even that tactic is going to change here before too long, Brian.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm definitely curious on why those guys like that. I mean, they had generated such a run. It was a monster momentum from the 24, but it looks like they have started falling back. But now they're starting to generate it again. Andrew Griesbaum has gotten lined up. So 4 cars on the top side. They're trying to make it interesting here. As Brian Johnson still in control. Has been in control almost all race. Not long to go here in this race. Can somebody make something happen? Can someone take the lead from Paradigm? Seems like Paradigm, what a great start to the season thus far for these drivers. I mean, they have been...
It's still early. The season hadn't even really started yet, man. I'm just saying...
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Just give it some time. That top line is definitely going to get organized. You got some guys that are on the bottom now that are going to peak up top. This thing is far from over. 15 laps to go. I don't think you get to Don Bryan truly till 10 laps to go in this thing. And then guys will be more likely to show their hand. Really, 5 laps to go at Daytona is what you're going to probably see just in this group. Let's remember, you're not really winning anything at the end of this, right?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, and in that way, I think it makes it even more exciting because, I mean, of course, it does. Running order, or should I say the qualifying order in next week's race. That's the only thing you're really getting from this race, of course, bragging rights. So I think that makes it even more exciting because these guys can race their hearts out, right? I mean, they can race as hard as they want, and it's not going to affect their points.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think right now they're just really feeling each other out. And Kenny Powell, man, I think he's just looking for somebody to dance with, man. Last week I said some very nice things about him that didn't make the broadcast. You know, I talked about him working out. And now here he is this week, man, and he just can't even get a dance partner. So come on, somebody, dance with Skinny Kenny.
You said some really lovely things about him last week. I mean, I'm really sad he couldn't hear him, to be honest with you. But Brian Johnson still out front as we come closer, I do believe, to 12 laps to go here. We appreciate you joining us here in the ISCA Super Cup Series. As Big Al mentioned, this is kind of a preseason race. Next season, or next week, I should say, we're going to be starting the season for real. That's when everybody is going to be trying to get started on the right foot. Of course, this is a good race to build momentum in, though, to kind of set yourself up for a good season. You know the ISCA, it is going to be an exciting one, just considering last season. It was pretty much came down to 2 different teams, and I do believe at the time they were the team. Now I do believe they have switched and transitioned to still, the team remained the same when it came to the drivers that are involved. Will they make a return? Patrick Gitter, of course, was champion last season. Will we see him next week? I sure hope so.
Kenny Powell getting the bump that he needed from Mark Sanchez. Is watching the ball right there. That was about the 73 around Kenneth Bartholomew. That's, I believe, where that line was that I saw, where it was either kind of the go or not go. Well, now Kenny has made his decision, and it is go time. 11 laps to go. I said you're going to see it at 10 laps to go, and here it is. It's time to get situated. That top line now is organized. Everybody that's buying in is going to get in. We're going to be watching right now. It's going to be the 8, I believe, of Frank Flores, seeing which way he's going to go. Which way he's going to go, Flores? Oh, John Binder makes a move instead. What do you think about that, Brian?
Yeah, John Binder has definitely been quite aggressive here tonight. I like that call from him. He jumps up in front of Kenny Powell. Binder, the Sundrop car, of course, I do believe that is a Earnhardt throwback there. So no wonder he's making all the crazy bonsai moves. I mean, Earnhardt was an aggressive guy, and I think Binder's trying to kind of bring that to the table here.
Try not to get left out to dry. Try not to get hung out to dry. Right now, he is still in front of Kenny Powell. Kenny Powell's been sold out to the high line as well as Mark Sanchez. He got the 64, I do believe that is Darren Moore. That is up top with them. 10 laps to go, Brian. Yeah, that's going to be the lap tractor car of John Ford. These guys, Jeffrey Ford, sorry. These guys got to make some decisions right here, buddy. And it's getting really kind of racy right now. Hold on tight, Brian. It's going to get sporty.
And it looks like Jeffrey Ford decides to go down to the bottom. He gets out of the way. Of course, yeah, it's going to get sporty. I think it's going to continue to get sporty. And you were talking about the 8. I think Frank Flores is one we got to keep an eye on because he is flirting with getting clear of that timeline. Does he jump up in front of John Binder? I think it could be a good idea. And try to see if he could possibly get that 8 machine up front and leading. I mean, of course, Frank has been a consistent driver from what we've seen. He's also been a driver that has improved quite a lot. And this is the kind of track I think we could see Frank really succeed at.
Well, 9 laps to go. This is the time where it's going to get really touchy, feely, pushy, shovey, because you have to make that move now. That top line, it should have been formulated already. Those guys should have already. Sure, somebody's car go kaput, but it should have already. I do believe that was the 43 car down in the pits. I think it just kind of went kaput on them. But Brian, that top line's got to get organized, and they got to get faster than it is. That's all I'm saying.
No, I definitely agree. I think these guys got to get moving. They got to start getting that organized. I mean, it just seems like they're doing the exact opposite of what we'd expect here. That, you know, especially with this close to the end of the race or of duel number 1, I think everyone has gotten single file. So I don't know if maybe they're communicating with one another, saying like, "Hey, let's get something organized," or if they're just maybe trying to just finish the race. I don't know. This is not like anything we see usually at Daytona towards this point. You know, with this much, we're coming up, I do believe, 6 times.
So there's going to be a lot of questions that are being answered right now for the guys that are, say, in dual they're watching this thing. You know, maybe as this thing gets down, but you're not seeing any kind of movement get going whatsoever from the high side. Every time those guys get up there and start to make a challenge, it seems like they get stalled and get brought all the way back. Now with 7 laps to go, you kind of got to wonder, man, where's the speed? If there's any speed on that high line, we got to see it soon. Otherwise, it's not even going to be worth the risk.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with you, Big Al. I think that these guys are not really they probably should be, and it could be something to do with the race car. I think that is something that very much could be the case. Could be setups, or could it be just the next gen itself?
It pivots on the 8 car. If the 8 car goes high, that changes the entire dynamic, because we know one thing for sure. That is the 3-car dynamic is going to be stronger than anything else that we got going on. So if Frank Flores decides to sell out, go to that high line, that's the only choice that they're going to have, because right now the Paradigm guys are going to run away with this thing. If he stays low, he makes this a race in their favor, Brian. That's the pivot point right there.
Yeah, and it's going to – I think another thing that has caused the domination of Johnson, Chris Johnson, Schaffner, the Paradigm guys, is we know Brian Johnson's a tinkerer. We know he builds on these work. So I would not be surprised that they have a big advantage, because Brian is that kind of engineer-type driver or, guy that he's going to put the work in, and everybody else probably was using old setups while the Paradigm guys have been working on some new stuff.
5 laps to go right now, and we got Mr. Mullins coming around the high side. He's got Kenny Powell. Kenny's a better pusher than he is a shoveler, so he is doing everything he can to kind of make it work. And a little bit too much as Mullins goes into the wall. Everybody runs for their lives. Binder down through the grass on the infield. Green flag race is going to continue, but that's definitely going to destroy any chance those guys had of trying to making the start.
Yeah, I think that pretty much settles it. I think it's going to be very difficult like that. I mean, they have spread out quite a bit, and it just seems like the 64 was not able to really get pushed like he should have been able to. It just seems maybe the car on edge or something.
Yeah, man, that Powell car, whenever Kenny Powell gets behind you, he's more of a shover than he is a pusher. And if you're not prepared for that, brother, it's going to get away from you. He is not for the faint of heart having him on your bumper with that 24 G&G car. I've been there, and I'm going to tell you, I still got the underwear back there in the back room. I don't share them or show them to nobody.
You might need to throw those away. I don't know why you have those still. But it looks like we got a move here. Mark Sanchez moves up to the top. Trying to get a move going here with Darren Mullins again. He up to the top.
The pivot point is going to be the 8 car. So as long as someone's going to have to move Frank Flores.
Sanchez into the outside wall. The 29 of Mark Sanchez just plowed right into the outside wall as we come 2 laps to go.
Yeah, 2 laps to go at the line. Binder's all but out of it. But I'm telling you, if somebody doesn't get in there and root Flores out of the way, I don't know, man. Somebody needs to tell them they're not going to invite you to the ball. You're never going to be a part of the team. Go to the high line, Frank. Come on, make it interesting.
It's pretty funny. Yeah, I don't know. Frank might be trying to join Paradigm. I think that might be what's going on. That's definitely
his best shot is getting from behind Schaffner.
Yeah, well, maybe he's going to make the move here. I mean, we're coming up to the white flag. Now would be the time if you were going to make something happen. Maybe wait till coming out of turn 4. I don't know. I mean, something's got to give. Something's got to happen to unseat these Paradigm guys.
Come on, you have to send Frank Flores a message in Morse code.
Like, come on, Frank, let's move it, man. Like, let's do something here. And I think that, the Kenneth Bartholomew, he's got the speed to be able to make something happen in that 73 machine. As we see, looks like we have the white flag in duel number 1. Does Brian Johnson lead every lap? I think he's led every lap thus far.
And I think that was solely a Paradigm decision for him to lead every lap. Those guys obviously did everything they needed to do. They followed the guy in front of them.
Yeah, they've been able to really make an attempt. The closest we've seen is Kenny Powell. As we see, I think, let's see if we have a race coming across the finish line. It doesn't seem to be. Well, Frank does dip out. He goes for 3rd, and he's able to, I don't know, did he get it away? I don't think he did. I think Frank Flores tried to take away 3rd from Josh Schaffner, was not able to do so. It looks like we do have the result here. Brian Johnson, your dual 1 winner. Chris Johnson finishes in 2nd place. John Schaffner 3rd. Frank Flores in 4th. Kenneth Bartholomew in 5th place. 6th place, Darren Mullins. 7th, Alexander Carr. 8th, Andrew Griesbaum. 9th, Kenny Powell. 10th, John Binder. 11th, Mark Sanchez. 12th, Jeffrey Ford. And 13th, Paul Olson. Now, with that, I do believe we're going to see if we can possibly dial up our dual winner. We're going to see if we can pull up Brian Johnson. All right, we got him here in the booth. Brian Johnson standing by with Big Al. You're going to talk to dual 1 winner, Big Al.
Hey, Brian Johnson, Big Al up in the booth. You got me?
Hey, guys. I got a copy.
Man, I wish I could say that was an exciting race, but, I mean, you guys were really just out there kind of running in line. Was that your strategy from the beginning, was just kind of to keep the thing orderly and just go for it?
Oh, yeah. I knew once I got teammates lined up behind me, it was going to be lights out. So, yeah, awesome job by the boys at Paradigm, Chris and Josh. Chris did a heck of a job pushing me and keeping me out front. So, yeah, they did a
absolutely. Definitely looks like you guys had got your stick kind of cleaned up and pointed it in the right direction. Did you guys make this setup in-house?
Hey, first and foremost, I want to give Clayton Hoffman a huge shout out. You know, he helped us out a lot this week. Yeah, helped us out with that Q setup. I mean, it is a absolute heater. So, being on a pole here at Daytona, you know how it is, Big Al. You know, it's probably the safest place on the track at Daytona. So, yeah, shout out to Clayton Hoffman. And for those who don't know, Clayton, you know, he's a Coke builder, and he's building setups for Nitro Racing. So go check him out, nitro.racing.com.
That's awesome. It looked like you definitely had the car here to beat. teamwork kind of looks like it's going to pick up right where it left off, man. Everything seems to be firing on all cylinders. Tell us something that we don't know.
Well, it's hard work in the draft. It's a little bit different this season. The side draft is still really strong. You just have to push the car just right to make speed. So, yeah, it's just going to take running laps, practicing in a pack to get the hang of it. But yeah, it is a little bit different this go round.
Awesome. So the car totally feels different when you're working in a group. Is that the reason why we didn't see the high line ever like form?
Yeah, and I was really surprised. I was waiting for it to come in. The last few races I've done, the low line dominates for 10, 15 laps until pressures come up, and then it migrates up to the top. So I'm really surprised there was no speed out there. So, but it also helped having two teammates behind me pushing.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Congratulations again for your dual one win. Before we let you go, who you shouting out?
Shout out to my boys at Paradigm Racing. We got Heat 2 coming up. We got a couple drivers in there, so good luck to those guys. And again, shout out to Clayton Hoffman for building us a heater of a Q set.
All right, man. Thank you for your time, and can't wait to see you next week.
All right, gentlemen. See you then.
All right, that was Brian Johnson. I think we're going to go ahead and take a brief step away while we get everything queued up for duel number 2. We'll be back. Thanks for watching.
At Farmers, we know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two, like how nice it is to switch and save on your auto policy. But it's even nicer knowing that if this happens, or this happens, or this, or even this, we've seen and covered it. So call 1-800-FARMERS to switch your auto policy, and you could save an average of $470. Get a quote today.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
You gotta get down to Hooters, have a drink, catch the game, get yourself some awesome wings. It's the place to do your thing. You gotta get down to Hooters. Here she comes, a girl next door, hanging with good friends and more. Come on, what you waiting for? You gotta get down to Hooters. So get on up and get on down to Hooters.
Gonna give a real shout out to those Paradigm guys as they were actually able to get it in the books with 1, 2, and 3. Duel number 2 gets set as we are ready to start rolling out. Our starting order will be starting on the pole will be the 6-star Brandon Pasalacqua. Joshua Daniel starts on the outside. Third place will be Mr. Mullins with Chris James on his outside. Next, it'll be Al Koslowski with Greg Wojcinski on his outside. Row 5 is going to be J.C. Evans with Derek Jacobs starting 8th place on the outside. Next, we'll have David Centeni and Blair Holloman in row 5. Row 6, Greg Carr, and that's going to round out the 11-car field here in duel number 2.
Yeah, definitely really excited to see how this one goes, Big Al. I'm having a little bit of technical issues myself here, but I'll be in there momentarily. But I know that they put on quite a show for duel number 1. I mean, what's duel 2 going to look like? We got less cars, but some different drivers, some guys that maybe are wanting to make a name for themselves.
One of the things I'm really excited to see is if we're going to see any difference whatsoever as far as that high line. That high line has got to show us something. Now, here's just something either that's telling us something about the setups or the drivers, or that's just I don't know, Brian. I just don't have enough data, and it's driving me crazy. That high line has got to work. I want to go down there myself and make it work.
No, I'm right there with you, man. It seems like it's incredibly difficult to make the high line work, but we do have a lot of different, I'd say, variables going on right now. I mean, we got Al Kozlowski's out here. I mean, less of the Paradigm drivers. Of course, they even said that they had a really good qualifying setup.
Did you just mentioned Al Kozlowski as a variable?
Yeah,
you know that, right?
He is. I mean,
that's awesome.
I'm just saying we got some different names, and Chris James. I mean, he's a talent. I mean, I'm curious to see, David Centeni. I mean, we got a lot of different drivers out here, and with different drivers comes new opportunities.
I'm picking up what you're putting down. So basically, I'm gathering what you're saying is that this is probably not going to be as smooth as the first duel.
It could be smoother. I don't know. It really just depends.
Now, in another thing, too, that we talked about, and then Brandon actually mentioned this when he popped in and gave us that shout-out, is it is definitely going to be a lot closer for him because he's the leader of this race. And if he elects to stay out front every lap, it will definitely probably play into how he finishes this thing. So he's going to have to be really smart about that, Brian, and either duck back in and maybe pick up the draft himself or hope that maybe, there's a couple more caution flags in this duel.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a really good point. I even was saying in that last duel that I feel like we got robbed when it came to seeing that fuel strategy kind of play out. So that's going to be something we're definitely going to see play out. And Brandon even said that the leader is going to be the one that's going to have the hardest time dealing with that fuel problem. So what does he and Randy Mullins do here? I mean, Randy Mullins, his teammate, starting on the inside with him, that's actually going to be working out pretty well for him. So curious to see how this plays out.
Yeah, but you would have to assume at one point that you're actually going to be able to make it the entire run on that tank of gas. Now, without there actually being a caution, there was a caution in the first duel. So my thought process is that there's definitely going to be a caution, and during that caution, that's going to be where those guys are going to actually be able to save those tenths of miles that they're going to need to be able to finish this thing. Because that's what it's going to come down to. I mean, it's going to come down to tenths of miles, especially if Brandon were to not have the information that he does. He knows that he is stacked against him on this one. So he's going to have to utilize whatever assets he has, man. And in order to not be out front there the entire time.
Well, that's the thing that's going to be really difficult. I mean, I don't think it, whatever he decides, I don't know if it's going to be possible for him to to try to get to the back unless he just dips out and goes to the back. But he's I'm just saying it's going to be hard for him to get out because everybody is going to want to use him as a fuel pig, if you will. They're going to want to have him stay up front. Somebody's got to take the bullet, Big Al.
What? You're saying that Brandon Pasalacqua is so strong that he can't help but lead a lap? You're saying that, this guy is so good.
Look at what we saw in the last race. Brian Johnson led every single lap. You think the only way Brandon goes to the back is if he tries to dip out and go to the back. I mean, he has to make a conscious decision to go back there. I just think that's a little bit with these next gens, Big Al. You've seen it before. If you try to fall back on purpose to the back of the field, you're in danger of losing that draft. So I don't know if Brandon does that.
Well, how far does he need to go back, though, is the first question. I don't think he needs to go all the way to the back. He just needs to not be in the front. Lights off on the pace car. He's going to be getting out of the way, and we're going to have that and a whole lot of questions answered here momentarily, Brian.
Yeah, I think we are. We are 100%. I just don't see him trying to go. I'd like to see it, how this works out. Pace car dips down pit road as we get ready to enter the Geico restart zone, and here we go. Questions are getting ready to get answered. Green flag is back out in the air as we get ready, we do start duel number 2. Pasalacqua rockets away, and already we see, I do believe, the Paradigm guys 1-2. As we see a duel between Joshua Daniels. Look at Chris James, some big pushes. Back to 77 and Joshua Daniels. Now, this is kind of interesting, Big Al. We usually see the 77 being, I do believe, Ryan Strunk. Now it's Joshua Daniels.
And Joshua Daniels is sitting up high, and he is making the high line do something I've been waiting to see it do all night, and that is emerge victorious. Now those guys are going to drop down in place, and I'm okay with that because they're setting the pace. He showed us just what would happen if a couple of cars were to actually get established up in that high line. Now, the pivot car that we're going to be watching, I think that's going to be right around there with that 64 car, Brian. I think
64, you mean
54? 54, yep. The other Mullins, right now, I think that's going to be the car that's going to determine if this thing goes high or stays low.
I got to say something. We're talking about saying how does Brandon give up the lead? I think he's doing that on purpose. I think you might have been onto something. I think he pulled back a little bit. He let Josh Daniels and Chris Johnson go. Never mind. I stand corrected because here comes Pasalacqua to the top side with Randy Mullins. And Al Kozlowski is going to try to see if he can go with him.
Well, you said that he wasn't going to be able to let it go. I mean, that's the biggest problem that powerful people have. I mean, this guy, and this early on, I wouldn't be laying back either. I'd be trying to get up front because you don't know how this is going to go. So you trust that it's going to play out, but you've got to lead every lap that you can. There's no other way around it. Now, he laid off those two, and that might have been the two that he used, but I think right now he's going to put himself in a position to keep that hammer down. But look at the difference, Brian. Look at how that high line is so much faster in this heat than it was in the second.
I agree. I totally agree. This looks way different than the last race. This race here looks like you're seeing a lot of that top line starting to move, but Al Kozlowski, something just went wrong with him in the center of the corner. He just lost a lot of momentum. I'm not sure if he just had a handling woe or something, but it looks like he's going to try to get that momentum going back. Teammate J.C. Evans as well as Greg Wachinski. Love that new paint scheme from Wachinski, looking like he's rocking orange and black.
Just need one more car to go high with those guys. That's going to make that high line just be dominant, and then we'll have ourselves a race. But thus far, Brandon Pasalacqua doing everything that he needs to do to stay up front and out front, having his Paradigm teammate right behind him. That's the 54 car of Randy Mullins.
You can see what Al's trying to do. He's trying to side draft. You can see Big Al or Al Kozlowski trying to side draft that bottom line, but it doesn't seem like his car is handling the speed he needs. And Daytona is all about speed.
Yeah, and those guys said it having a champion on your team like Clayton Hoffman, that definitely makes it a lot easier coming here tonight with that kind of a setup. So be interesting to see exactly how these guys' setups do play out, especially with laps on tires. That's going to be the big thing.
Oh, we know how good Clayton is. I'm surprised to hear, Clayton switching teams. I mean, I know Clayton for a long time was with the Legacy Esports group, and it sounds like he's found his home at the Nitro Racing camp. So that's definitely very, very interesting. Curious to see how he does. I know he's always been a really good setup builder, so I really expect to see him really impacting the Paradigm guys. If this is a lasting relationship, if that's the case, those guys are going to be hard to beat. I mean, they were already hard to beat considering I know that Paradigm was already a strong team. If they have Clayton Hoffman helping them out, they're going to be almost unbeatable. I'm curious to see if any other teams are going to be able to compete against them. I mean, I know the Patrick Gitter and Matt DeCiani, Derek Heitman, those guys would show up last season and would always be very, very fast against the Paradigm guys. This is raising up questions. I think this is going to be an interesting season.
Yeah, that's some serious name dropping, especially this early in the season. So you're right, man. Excited to see how that shakes out.
And Brandon Pasalakwa, though, right now in the lead on lap number 7. And this thing is flying right quickly as we've, of course, been green thus far. Let's see if we can keep it going. Looks like a lot of drivers still pretty racing, but still very clean so far. 1-2 Paradigm. They're going to see what if they get 2 Paradigm, wins both races. That would be a big statement, wouldn't it?
Well, I mean, once again, we still got a lot of racing left.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know. Sometimes you got to play your luck, man. And I just think that this one's going to kind of shake out a little bit different.
Think so?
I'm hoping that Brandon can actually keep out front, but I don't think this thing's going to stay green the entire time. Now, Derek Jacobs has made his way back up with the pack. Once these guys get it close here, they're going to have to break out. That how long they're going to have to do something different than what they're doing because they're realizing that they're not going to be able to reel him in if they don't do something different. Still got plenty of time left to go, though, in this series as we're only 8 laps in. So that means 30 laps to go. I think right now you're just kind of hanging out, but definitely expect the unexpected.
And here comes the unexpected Al Kozlowski moving up through that with the help of J.C. Evans. Al has always been a fast super speedway driver. Not very good at pushing, I got to admit, but he's always been good at getting pushes. And you can clearly see he has got a high momentum in that 88 Speedway Angels machine. Is not the 9 of J.C. Evans is pushing that machine. Side by side from the lead, you're seeing pretty close racing for already 8 laps in or 9 laps in.
And this is exactly what I was talking about, and this is the reason why I don't think Brandon's going to have to worry about fuel.
I don't know about that. He's still in the clean air. I don't think that he is saving gas being side by side with Al Kozlowski. Now, if Al Kozlowski gets in front of Brandon, that's a different story. Now, that's a different story. Then he'll be able to save a little bit of gas, but I don't know. Can Al make this pass happen? It seems like he's got a setup that's capable. And look at that. He is clear to the bottom, but I think he's going to want to try to get JC clear too, wouldn't you?
Well, I think he just needs to stay up high. I don't think there's any rush to go down low whatsoever. We're just doing this thing. I think at this point, you just want to show those guys down low that we're bulls too, and we're capable of running alongside you. And now you can just kind of go back there and just chill out again.
See, but you see right there that those guys had an opportunity to get down low, but the one thing is J.C. Evans clearly got hot for a second. He had to let the engine cool off. He had to let the engine cool off for a second. Now they're re-engaging. Here comes another run from that top side on the front stretch here.
Well, they're still too loose in order to make that happen. They got to get real tight because otherwise there's so much drag there. The 27 car's got to pull in. He's got to get way closer to Wachinski. Because otherwise, these guys are not going to be able to pull off if they've got so much air there within.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, it could be just the organization there. Daniels moving up off the bottom a little bit, trying to get some clean air on his nose. You can tell a lot of these drivers are trying to get clean air. I'd say heating issues might be something that these guys are starting to deal with, but racing has continued to intensify as we're on lap 11. Come to lap number 12, or to start number 12, I should say, is Al Kozlowski has been really side drafting the two of Chris James, trying to get a momentum going.
And the question is going to be if Chris James wants to be an outlaw like his cousins, Jesse and Josie, you know what I mean? Because if he wants to be an outlaw, and he's in a perfect position to do just that, he's just going to have to get up to that line, get in front of Kozlowski, or get behind him. That's going to put all of the pressure on that 77 car. As these guys get closer and closer in, because right now, you're still a ways off. Brandon Pasalaki, he laid off on those first 2 laps. I think he's going to be safe on fuel. But eventually, when we get about 10 to go, though, Brian, things are going to start to come out.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just don't think he really is good on gas. He was in the draft for just a lap or two, and that's not enough. That is not enough to save. I don't know. I disagree, but I mean, of course, you know, that's fine. We'll have the question answered towards the end. But I mean, then again, Brandon's a smart guy. I mean, he's not looking at that black box up. He's looking at it. He knows what he needs to do here to win this race. He's won races before. The 6 is a fast driver. He knows what he's doing. He's wise. But you mentioned something I want to go back to. You talked about jumping up in front of Al Kozlowski. Are you sure you want to do that? Like, Chris James just did it.
I said he's got to be an outlaw. And there it is.
Now, you don't jump up in front of Kozlowski because he's not a pusher. He's not going to push you. Al Kozlowski always. I've never really seen him stop pushing. And he'll even tell you. I mean, I hope Al, you know, he hears this broadcast because he'll probably be like, yeah, you're right.
Well, you know, yeah, no, that's not going to happen. You know, but look at the field now. So that high line, it definitely, those guys started to make a charge. They got a little bit overzealous. It kind of broke up. The best thing is that they did that now. You know, so now they can regroup, figure out how to run in a group because in that pecking order, you look right there, they got to figure out the lead bull.
They're 3 wide right now.
And you can't be 3 wide for last place. It just ain't gonna work.
It just don't. They're gonna lose the draft. I mean, I'm pretty sure Chris James. Looking at Chris James, who is in 6th place right now, he is a second back of David Centini. That's enough. You've lost the draft. I don't think those guys are gonna catch up to the rear.
I think that once they get redistributed. Once they get redistributed, I think they're going to be just fine, Brian. They just got to figure out how to fly.
Yeah, I mean, they might. I mean, looking at the time right now, it looks like Chris James is catching them. But I just remember the next gen last year. I know the next gen last year at these super speedway tracks, whenever you fell about a half a second behind someone, you have lost the draft. But maybe that's not the case. Maybe the new aero package on these race cars makes it a little bit better. Because look at Chris James; he's starting to actually catch up to the front 5. So if it just really depends, Big Al. If these guys stay lined up, if they run a race, they're not going to catch them.
And I think right now they did that. I think they figured out how to fly. They just got to get Derek Jacobs in the mix. Right now, he's the one pulling the 10. If they can lure him in, keep him tight, because you know just as well as I do, when you're trying to do draft racing, with that gap, he's got, it kind of makes him a parachute.
That gap is growing now. Like they were catching them, but now that gap is increasing quite a lot. 1.5, 1.6 seconds now in between 5th and 6th, and that is a pretty big gap. And so they're not even probably feeling the effects of
they just broke up again.
So this is not good at all for these guys that are 6th on back. These guys are in danger of maybe, unless the caution comes out. I mean, that's I think the only thing that could really save them, or unless they could play some type of magic on pit road. I mean. But just a little bit of a quick summary of what just happened, ladies and gentlemen. We see Brandon Pasalaki, of course, out front. The top 5 have separated from the back six, or sixth on back, I should say. Chris James leading that group. They have separated because battling started taking place. Al Kozlowski refused to push Chris James, which separated the pack. I think that was the domino, Big Al.
I'm just saying, I mean, you're CNN and I'm Fox News. I just love to hear the other side's objective.
What would you say? Was that not the domino that set this off?
Well, I mean, I'm not going to attack Kozlowski, not this early in the season. I think right now it's a duel. So it's just that. You got to get out there and you got to figure it out.
Saying facts. Yeah. But I mean, look at it now, Big Al. It's getting worse and worse and worse. Chris James is now 4 seconds back from the pack here.
Well, Wachinski is now on the outside. Now you got Evans, Wachinski, Jacobs. Now they're realigning themselves. They're getting redistributed again.
Yeah, they are.
Redistributed again.
So maybe
they're going to make another run at it.
Fast. Al is fast. I give him all the credit when it comes to how fast he is. If Al can is the best leader of this group, he can whittle that time back down, but it is going to be difficult. These guys have to be perfect in order to whittle that time back.
Well, come on now. That's why we call them racists. We're just halfway through this thing, Brian, and we are halfway officially.
Well, I know. I'm analyzing the race.
Both groups have past the start-finish line. And now this is the time where you start to shake it up and shape it up. Now these guys know what doesn't work. They got Jacobs in. They got Jacobs into the middle of the field now. That's where they need him. They need to bring him into the fold. Now it's a matter of pushing him, keeping him up. Once they do this and they get this thing running, Brian, I think they're going to be running as fast as they run all night, because the 2-car, Chris James is actually in the back now, so he can actually push even more to keep this thing tight.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if they probably were communicating over the radio and saying, "Hey, we got to do something different because we are losing a ton of time." And it hasn't helped though. I mean, they are a little bit quicker, but not quicker than the top 5. I mean, the top 5 are about a tenth of a lap faster every lap, and that's.
Well, eventually those guys are going to have to drag their brakes too, because they're going to understand one thing, man. We're way too fast for way too long, which means the fuel burn has been too great on those guys. So they have to try to figure out how to slow it down in order to save gas. And that could be something as simple as drag the brake.
No, it could be. I mean, I think gas is going to be a big thing that these guys have to worry about. And, of course, Brandon Pasalacqua is not out of the woods. I mean, he's out here in the clean air. But now because of the, separation of these groups, now Wachinski, now whoever leads this second pack is also somewhat in danger. But I think that what they're doing in that second pack is they're kind of, big wiggle there.
Jacobs way loose there, Brian, and he's going to put himself way to the back. And that's not going to help out that second pack situation at all. That's actually going to cause their draft to break way up as Derek Jacobs now struggles to stay with the pack.
Yeah, he might, and he doesn't have anybody behind him. And a lot of times when you're in danger of losing the pack, if you don't have someone behind you, it makes it that much harder. He's way up the racetrack. I'm wondering why he is doing this. I think
they're trying to get him back up in line.
He is slowing this pack down. Anytime you do what he's doing right now, you slow the rest of the pack. He's pulling the 2 back with him, and they're both going to be in danger of losing the draft. So Derek needs to get in line. He has to understand that his car a lot of times can act as a parachute on other vehicles, and that's what the 27 is doing right now. You can see it pull the 2 back. Looks like I think he's got the memo, so he's going to hopefully stay in line, because these guys all have to work together. There is no other option. Otherwise, they're going to continue to lose time. One thing, though, looking at the time here, they actually have gained some of their time back. They were about 6 seconds back from Centennial. Now they're about 5.2. So I think the top pack, you were onto something. I think those guys are starting to slow down a little bit, maybe to save some gas. you said something about drag and brake. That could be what they're doing in the front pack, because last time by they hit a 46.9 versus that, Greg Wilczynski, who's 6th place, the front of the second group, hit a 46.4. So that's a half a second faster from the second group.
Yeah, you're in that stage of the operation now where 14 laps to go, you got to make yourself right by the time you get 10 laps. At 10 laps to go, you cannot take any risks. So everything you do at this point, you're lining yourself up. So when it's 10 laps to go, you can put the hammer down. You're not having to conserve or save or be conservative even if you don't want to.
Yeah, no, I think, I don't know. I feel like this second pack's kind of already locked into their fate, if you will. But then again, the first top 5, they still are questionable when it comes to fuel. Not a whole lot we can really talk about right now. I think right now would really be a good time if we pay some attention to our sponsors. We haven't done that a whole lot tonight. So let's take a quick commercial break. We'll come back. We'll talk some more about the race as we ramp up.
Trouble on the racetrack!
Uh-oh.
Caution's out.
Trouble on the racetrack. Derek Jacobs, I do believe, has some problem.
Yeah, what we had right there is one car got real loose, and it just had a bowling ball effect. I do believe that was the 27 of Jacobs.
Yep, 27
coming right around the
Jacobs.
paint, right around the pit entrance.
We are, of course, looking at the leader, Brandon Postolanco. We got to look at 27. Derek Jacobs. He's taking a tow, so the damage is severe enough. He is out of the race.
Yeah, Al Kozlowski, Chris James, both with major damage to their cars, both going to need repairs.
This is...
And actually, that was not on Derek Jacobs. Looks like if we could just see that one more time.
It looks like Al Kozlowski definitely involved. I think maybe some drivers were thinking of coming to pit road. You see Greg Wilczynski. Wilczynski might have...
Well,
we got to look at Al Kozlowski. Kozlowski, I think, is something happens to him. So if we can maybe look at the 88 and see, look at it from maybe a little bit of a different perspective. I think we need a different perspective here to see exactly what happened. Yeah, this is a little too. Looks like Chris James as well. Still not
Chris
really
James, Al Kozlowski, both are having like major damage. Derek Jacobs is taking the tow, but Chris and the 2 and the 88 both definitely down with repairs needed. Here's the angle you're looking for.
This is a better angle here. You see Greg Wilczynski, he gets pushed out of turn 4 down onto the apron, and he comes back up to the track. And I think something about that just caused Al to have an issue. And of course, Derek Jacobs just terrible incident for him. I mean, he, like you said,
why don't we pull Al Kozlowski up and let's talk to Al and figure out what happened?
Yeah, that'd be a great idea. Let's see. Maybe he could tell us a little bit about what happened. Al Kozlowski, I hope you don't mind. We got you in the booth. We wanted to. We had a little bit of a trouble figuring out exactly how that accident happened. I know Greg got pushed down off the track and came back up, but we were a little bit muddled on what happened. Al, do you got us?
Yeah, I got you. I'm just trying to see if I want to pull this hunk of junk off pit road. I'm totaled. The pusher behind Greg was they kind of pushed him wrong, and they split, and I tried to go around them, and I think I don't know. I have to watch a replay, but it's kind of disappointing. I mean, the pushes tonight were kind of weird. I don't know if it's because it's at nighttime or what, but I had a fairly decent car. I mean, if I just had the right assistance. I mean, this is a team effort right here. This is got to have a pusher, a good pusher, not just a pusher. So it is what it is. This is just a no money, no points, no nothing race. So we'll come back next week and knock it out of the park.
Yeah, I know it's definitely got to be pretty frustrating for you. You definitely seemed like you had a fast race car. We just wanted to kind of see if you could maybe give some insight on why that accident happened, but we appreciate your time, Al. Could we give a shout out to anybody?
Yeah, we can give a shout out to you guys in the booth. I'm always glad to see you back. I hope you guys had a good off season. I should be back to normal. I had a back surgery on the off season, so just like Denny Hamlin is shoulder surgery. I had a back surgery, so we'll see what that does for my performance this year. I know last year I was, because of that car wreck I got into, I was racing kind of careful. So this year we're going to give it all it's got and see where we end up.
Yeah, it's great to hear. Glad to hear you're back in tip-top shape, Al, and we'll see you next time, next week at Daytona. Hopefully you have better luck.
Thanks, guys. See you next week.
Alrighty, that was Al. Yeah, I'm glad he had the surgery. That's really good news, isn't it, Big Al?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it just goes to show the semblances to our sport as well as, the real sport. Drivers having surgery in the off season to be able to come back and be more competitive. Lights off on the pace car, 10 laps to go here. Getting down to the nitty-gritty, Brian, this is where it's actually going to shake itself out. All of the bets are off. No matter what you did up to this point, it's got to work now. And just because Brandon has led every lap to this point, I think there's a lot of other drivers that get to vote now.
No, I think this saved a lot of drivers as well. We were talking about how, of course, the fuel issue, I think this saved them in that regard. And it also saved the guys that had lost the draft. I mean, that second pack, they had hardly no hope, I don't think, for catching that front pack. Now, they're all right back together. Now, of course, this dashed the hopes of Al Kozlowski and Derek Jacobs. Chris James, I think, took a lot of damage as well. I saw him come off pit road. So he's definitely probably got some residual damage. So some guys, yes, it was not lucky. But some drivers, I think, are going to be have some renewed spirits, new chances.
Well, there ain't no fast repairs in the thing ISCA. Right. And unfortunately, Daytona, it's one of those tracks where, every panel matters. This is draft racing at its finest. So with 10 laps to go, this dude's going to turn into a shootout. And you best believe that these guys that are up front here, they're definitely going to go ahead and let it know because you got nothing to lose except for the race. So, it's time to go ahead and roll your sleeves up, man. Get those things out there and let the big dogs eat, Brian.
No, I definitely agree. I think this is going to be some exciting racing here to end this event. I mean, Brandon Passalacqua, you can tell he's got something in mind here. He's elected to start up on the high side. This is the first time we've seen that here tonight. So curious to see how that plays out. Pace car dips down pit road as we get ready to enter the Geico restart zone. Passalacqua up through the gears. Green flag is out here. As we're just going off the first caution of duel number 2. Passalacqua jumps down in front of Randy Mullins. And, of course, Josh Daniels is in line as well. Can Blair Howland make something happen?
Well, that was all about a restart. And that's going to be the tale of duel number 2. It's the story of a restart. And the restart right there with 10 laps to go sealed a lot of people's fate. Now, best they could hope is that they can get this thing together, but it's still going to come down to what the 77 car wants to do.
Yeah, I think it is going to come down to Joshua Daniels. I think if Daniels, he seems like he's on relatively good terms with Passalacqua and Mullins. He's worked with them quite well here thus far.
But he's not on their team.
Yeah, he's not on their team, but he might be trying to try out. We'll see, though. We'll see. I mean, and also David Centini. What does he do? I mean, what does Greg Wyszynski do? I mean, do these guys all communicate? Do they try to collaborate and make something happen?
I think the first step is going to be trying to keep up. Because before you can mount any type of attack, you got to be able to keep up with the pack. And if you can't keep up with Brandon Passalacqua, then you don't get a choice. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, if you can't stop it, you'll never get to defend the pass.
I mean, and that's what this is. We're already seeing guys that can't keep up. I mean, J.C. Evans, I don't know if he got damaged in that wreck, but he has fallen off like crazy. 3 seconds behind Blair Holloman. Holloman, of course, is barely able to keep up with Greg Wyszynski. He's having problems here. I'm not sure. Hopefully he can stay with this top 5, but it looks like this is going to be a race between possibly the top 6.
Yeah, like I'm saying, like right now, you got to be faster than Brandon Passalacqua, and we don't have that in this field right now, which means, just tuck in and unless you're the lead dog, the scenery don't change. I mean, that's all I can say about that.
I got an idea, though. I mean, Randy Mullins, new teammate on Paradigm. he's a little bit of an unknown. We know
Yeah.
Randy wants
Stay
to
in
win.
line.
We've seen him win.
Stay in line.
You think he stays in line just because?
I think everybody stays in line. But I mean, what do you? At this point in the race, what else are you gonna do?
I mean, but I'm just saying, like on the last lap, when that move is made, do you think the 54?
You're not racing at this point. You're just trying to keep up with Brandon Passalacqua.
Well, I'm just saying they're on the same. They're probably on the same setup, I'd assume. You know, if Josh dips out, you think Randy doesn't go with him, or you think he stays with the 6? That's what you're saying.
I'm saying with 6 laps to go, you stay alive and hope at best you can finish where you're at without tearing the car up.
I don't know, man. I got to disagree. I think these guys are going to race. I think that, I think Brandon and the 54 might stay in line. But he's, like you said, he's not even on their team. Greg Wyszynski, he's in 5th. I mean, he might make a move. I just don't, I understand what you're saying. But this is the ISCA. Do you think these guys? I don't ever really see them take a quiet way to finish the race. You know what I mean?
I'm just saying you got to be fast enough to make a charge. And if they're fast enough, that's great. Oh, speaking of which, the 88 car back on the racetrack.
Right, yeah.
He's bound and determined to make a dent in this competition, regardless.
Yeah, I don't know. I think if I was in Al's shoes, there's nothing for him to gain. He's 6 laps down. There is nothing for him to gain here.
Hold your line.
Yeah, I hope he doesn't cause any issues here because there is nothing for him to gain.
Go around. I love it.
He's 7 laps.
Made him go high.
I gotta say that's bold. He's bold.
That's ballsy right there is what that is.
Yeah, he's a bold customer, that's for sure. He has provoked some movement, though. Here comes David Centini with Greg Wyszynski. Look at these guys go, Big Al.
Ooh,
and they're
look
on the
at
block.
the paradigm shift. That was a block. He went way high to block the run that the 78 had, and he's going to have just enough as he is now back up with his teammate. Maybe that challenge came a little bit too early, Brian, but there's definitely going to be a little bit of a chink there. I think you're going to see it again. It's a 79 now postures himself. Greg Wyszynski pulling in deep.
3 versus 3 right now. David Centini, Greg Wyszynski, Blair Holloman lined up on the top while you got, I do believe, Passalacqua, Mullins, and Daniels lined up on the bottom. So this is 3 versus 3 here.
What's the 77 going to do is what it's going to boil down to. That 77 car is the pivot car in this situation, Brian. His choice is going to be pivotal. 3 laps to go, 2 laps at the line. These guys getting back in line now, trying to redistribute themselves within the field, redistribute themselves within the field.
Yeah, this Centini has moved down to the bottom, so he's trying to see if he can possibly cut 77 out of this. So what does Josh Daniels do in response? As you see Greg Wyszynski getting a pretty good run, even though there's only 2 cars.
And I think he did the right thing. I think he did. He booted the 77 out of the way. Definitely take him out of the equation, and you know what I mean? Because otherwise he was going to stay right there where he was at, and it was going to cause this thing to shape up one way or another. Now you got the 2 cars back out there again. These guys got to get in line to mount a charge.
Yeah, I think they're trying to do that right now. White flag is getting ready to come out. It is out. White flag is out on the racetrack. David Centini jumps up to the top side. He tries to side ramp. Flag ends it no matter what. Big blocks from the 6.
Oh, the 6, he went high. And Centini comes low. Centini might have enough because they just split up the Paradigm teammates. That's really an awesome move right there. Put yourself up in there amongst them.
Yeah, I don't know what Passalacqua was thinking when he went up there to block that. But Greg Wyszynski takes him 3 wide.
Oh, Wyszynski comes across the nose. But Wyszynski comes across 3rd.
And David Centini wins duel number 2. The 79 got to be incredibly happy with himself. So let's take a look back at that finish. I think that deserves another look. What a finish.
Awesome.
Yes, what a finish here at Daytona International Speedway. We saw David Centini able to grab the win on the last lap, if I'm not mistaken.
Centini put himself right where he needed to be. He moved the 77 car out of the way. Because that pivot car, unless he did that, this whole thing just stays in line.
Look at this right here. And you see, it got close. I mean, Randy Mullins almost was able to spin the 79, but the 79 sideways came across the line as your victor. What a race. David Centini, I think this is his first win. I think this is definitely his first win in the ISCA, even though this is a duel and somewhat of an exhibition.
You should get 2 wins right there for that one because he went against both the Paradigm drivers. And let's talk, that was Brandon Passalacqua and who was the second one there? Was that Josh Hoffner?
Schaffner was in the first race.
Wait, so who were the 2 Paradigm drivers right there at the end of that thing?
That was Randy Mullins and Brandon Passalacqua.
There you go, Randy and Brandon.
And let's take a quick rundown through the final results. I know we had the results thing up for just a second. David Centini, your winner, first win in the ISCA. Congratulations to him. Randy Mullins in second. Greg Wachinski finishes third. Joshua Daniels in, I do believe, fourth place. Brandon Passalacqua, fifth. Blair Holloman, sixth. J.C. Evans in seventh. Greg Carr. And 8th, 9th, Chris James. 10th, Al Kozlowski. And 11th, Derek Jacobs. What a race here tonight in duel number 2. Let's talk to our duel 2 winner. All right, we got him here in the booth. Well, I did. Now he's gone again.
That bird done flew the coop.
Let's try it again. David Centini, I pulled you up. You disappeared. David, how are you?
Hey, pretty good. How are you guys?
Doing fine. I think this is I don't think we've really had a chance to talk to you up here in the ISCA booth before. But congratulations on your win in duel number 2. First ISCA win as well, even though this is a kind of a preseason exhibition. I'd still count it. I mean, what a win.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. This actually is my first time up here. Had a couple races last season, but this is the first time up here in the booth with you guys. And no, it was a good win for sure. It was. I know it's an exhibition race, like you said, but I mean, it's still nice to get it, though. You know.
Oh yeah, no, you should definitely be feeling really good. Just consider, I mean, you had to go against 2 guys that were teammates. I mean, Passalacqua and Mullins were working very, very well together. What was the thought process trying to kind of navigate through there and get that car in victory lane?
Well, I mean, honestly, there wasn't much other than just take it one step at a time here. I don't have a lot of seat time in the next gen. I'm usually in the Xfinity car, so. Starting a little farther back there in the field. It was, like I said, it was just take it one step at a time, see how everything works out, see if there's any wrecks. Just take your time and go with it.
It definitely seemed like things, were working out for you even before that caution kind of came out and brought the field back together. But you were able to kind of mount a charge there. I mean, what did you do setup-wise? Did you kind of have to work on the car? What was the plan?
No, I mean, all the guys back at OSN, John, Zach, Kevin, I mean, they put in all the hours this past week just getting this set up super fast. So big shout out to them for that. I didn't do any adjustments. It's all on them. And they gave it to me, and that's what I ran. So it was definitely fast for sure.
It definitely seemed like it. I mean, you were able to make such a solid run and get into position. Congratulations, David. Of course, next week we're going to be heading to do the big race. I mean, the actual Daytona 300, I do believe, here in the ISCA Super Cup season. I mean, what do you think this does for your confidence when it comes to that race and possibly the season?
No, I mean, it definitely helps because, I mean, every time I do one of these super speedway races, I feel like luck's never on my side. So it's kind of nice to have it work out for you, get a good starting spot for the race next week and, see where that goes.
Well, hopefully it goes well. I mean, you definitely showed that you got a fast race car, so hopefully that translates next week as well. Who can we give a shout out to after this big win? First win in the ISCA, David.
No, yeah, for sure. No, like I said, for you guys, for sure, for the broadcast. And then everybody back at OSN, both Johns, Kevin, Zach, Barry, all those guys for putting in all the hours on the setup and making it fast.
Yeah, so this is definitely a team win with the OSN guys. So definitely, hopefully, we'll see you guys making even more of a splash this season. Thanks for your time, David.
I appreciate it. Have a good one.
All righty, that was David Centini, and what a great job to him, Big Al. I mean, to see a first-time winner in the duels here tonight.
Yeah, and that was definitely a strategic win that nothing was given there. He had to actually play his cards correct in order to pull that off, and he did. So with that type of strategery, I can't wait to see what he does for us next week, Brian. That was just two great heats, and now we got the field set. So I mean, let's get down to it.
Oh, I'm definitely excited. I think this was a fantastic race. Of course, we saw Brian Johnson win heat number 1. Paradigm, of course, dominated that one, led every lap. Brandon Pasalacqua almost led every lap of this race, but unfortunately, Randy Mullins and Brandon got separated. That led to David Centini able to navigate and work his way into winning position. And, man, such an exciting finish here this evening. Make sure you tune in, though, next week. We're going to have probably even more exciting race. I mean, 300-something miles at Daytona. I mean, over 100 laps we're going to see at this legendary racetrack. You don't want to miss it. I sure ain't going to miss it. I'll be sick. I'm still in here. Kenny won't let me have time off anyway. But I appreciate everybody out there tuning in. Make sure you tune in for that race. It'll be the broadcast itself will start about 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Of course, the race itself will go green a little after 9:30, and we're going to see the same people you saw out here tonight, once again, and dueling for points this time around. But, of course, do want to give a big shout-out to Big Al for being the best co-commentator one can ask for. Another shout-out to Kobe Jordan for doing a fantastic job tonight with all the great camera angles and replays all queued up. Of course, want to shout-out Kenny Powell for being the best ISCA league owner we can ask for sure. But we'll see you next time, ladies and gentlemen. This has been the ISCA Super Cup Series. Have a great night.
I found the ISCA after I'd been in the service for a long time. I'd been in iRacing for well over a decade and spent most of my time in NASCAR series, a lot of fixed racing for the most part, and really just got to a point in my iRacing career where I really wanted to get involved in open setup racing versus fixed, partially because I was just looking for a little higher level of competition, maybe a little cleaner driving and maybe get away from some of the challenges that go along with fixed racing on the service. And it took me a while as I was really searching out leagues because I kind of had a very specific thing I was looking for. A, I wanted to be an established league. B, I just really wanted clean, quality drivers to be racing around. And once I found the ISCA, I found out really quick that it was going to check all those boxes, and I've been with the ISCA ever since.